Time to play some Pokemon Violet, guys. Holy shit. We're playing Pokemon Violet, guys. Let's go. Mission failed. We did not get the Pokemon. We did not get the Pokemon. Bowser got second place. Holy shit, guys. Yeah, I know.
Your food's out there.
Yeah.
And your drink's in the car. I can't carry it off. William, go out and get your drink.
I know.
Did you hit that subscribe button yet? Subscribe. I want 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. This is going to be an interesting video topic because I feel like a lot of people that have been discussing this are looking at it from a very black and white standpoint. They're not really looking for that middle ground, that gray area, because I don't think there's definitive answers for this. You can take the information that you've been provided, but you have to look at things on a case-by-case basis. And of course, judging by the title of this video, which I don't know what I titled it, and the thumbnail of this video, you can tell what we're talking about today. And that is Xbox Game Pass. Now, Game Pass is arguably my favorite thing about Xbox. I genuinely love Game Pass, and we'll talk about the service itself in just a minute, but we've been getting lots of interesting nuggets of information from this whole merger with Activision and Microsoft, where there's government legalities and stuff involved in it, so you can't really lie to the government. I mean, one time I did lie to a police officer, told him my name was Quinn Cardona, who was a skateboarder. I got caught. But it's not smart to do it because you get in trouble. And I got in trouble. However, these companies are not going to lie to government entities about what is happening. And obviously Microsoft, in this whole trying to buy Activision thing, has been painting themselves as kind of like the third wheel of the video game company. They've been hyping up, Sony and the grandeur of Sony, and we've been getting lots of interesting sound bites essentially from Microsoft. But I think this sound bite that came out yesterday really shocked a lot of people because it kind of goes against the pretense of what we've been told and what we've been force-fed as far as information is concerned, and that involves Xbox Game Pass. Now, Microsoft always talks about the good of Xbox Game Pass, as well they should. You should amplify the positives and try to hide the negatives of something, but when you're in a situation where you have to put all your cards on the table, you can't really hide from the government. So here's what was said yesterday that has a lot of Xbox fans questioning things, Sony ponies celebrating in the streets, and me kind of standing in the middle like, well, I don't think it's quite what you think it is. So this information, and I'm reading it off of gamesindustry.biz, the UK Competition and Markets Authority provisional report on the Microsoft Activision Blizzard acquisition includes an admission from Microsoft that putting games into its Game Pass subscription service cannibalizes sales of those titles. Microsoft also submitted that its internal analysis shows of course they can't say the percentage, decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition on Game Pass, the CMA noted in its report. That confirmation runs counter to claims that Phil Spencer made, good old slick Philly, in 2018 that Game Pass boosts sales rather than undermines them. When you put a game like Forza Horizon 4 on Game Pass, you instantly have more players of the game, which is actually leading to more sales of the game. You say, well, isn't everyone just going to subscribe for $10 and go play this thing? But no, gamers find things to play based on what everyone else is playing. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. There is a lot to unpack there because a lot of people are assuming that this is talking about all games that go on Game Pass. And let's just call a spade here. Are games going to see as many sales if they're on Game Pass as if they weren't on Game Pass? No. I don't think anyone can really argue that. That's why, certain games, you see that the sales of them are really low on Xbox comparative to other systems, but they're also on Game Pass. When it comes to Game Pass, I feel like Xbox has sort of cultivated a marketplace where Game Pass is the priority. Other games that come out are cool and they're fine, and if you're a fan of them, you'll pick them up. I'm someone who loves to play my third-party games on the Xbox just because I love my Xbox Series S or X, I should say, interface. I love the controller of it and stuff like that. So I buy a lot of third-party games on there. But if a third-party game is available on Xbox, on Game Pass, I'm not buying that. You're not buying that. I mean, a small segment of people are buying it. So I don't think it's a crazy thing to say that, yes, to some degree, it does hurt game sales. As the market becomes, full of $70 games and stuff like that, yeah, people are going to be more budget conscious with their money. I mean, people are out here struggling to pay rent and, put food on the table and stuff like that. Of course, they're going to look for something that offers a value where you don't have to buy as many games and you can have a large variety of games to play. Looking at it from a business perspective, it always made sense to me that less people would buy games. I look at just look at NPD numbers. Look at NPD numbers for every time a major game comes out for Xbox, even though they've been exclusive, they've been few and far between. But something like Starfield, do you really think Starfield is going to sell, 10, 15 million copies on the Xbox? Or is it going to be, a small amount of sales comparative to how many people are playing it on Game Pass? Of course, that's going to be the case. I don't understand why. I guess it's because Bill Spencer said, people are buying games when they're on Game Pass. People might buy microtransactions. People might buy DLC. People might buy, if they really love a game, they might pick up a used copy of the game. I know one time playing a game on Game Pass, Journey to a Savage Planet, I was like, is this game on Switch? And it was on Switch. And because it was on Switch, I ended up purchasing it on Switch because I wanted to buy the game in handheld mode because I just felt like it was a good game for the Switch. So that didn't translate to a sale. But on another platform, when these companies put their games on Game Pass, they're not doing it because, they think that it's going to be great for their bottom dollar sales. They're doing it because Microsoft is handing them a lot of money and saying, hey, if you let us put your game on Game Pass, here's a bag of money. And at some point in time, you have to feel like the sustainability of that is going to run a little bit dry, especially when you look at the prices of things like Game Pass. You would have to assume that Game Pass is going to go up in price at some point in time, potentially even double, to sustain the budget, to sustain the amount of high-quality titles, games like Forza Motorsports 8, games like Redfall, games like Starfield, games that have, million dollar budgets. You gotta find some sustainability with this. You can throw money at something to make it work, and it can work for a certain amount of time, but is it sustainable? Will it always be, will it ever become self-sustainable to the point of where you can lower the amount of money you put into these things? I don't see that happening. The only way I see, Game Pass continuing as it is, especially as these big first-party titles start coming out, is to raise the price of everything. I mean, I don't even necessarily think that raising the price is like the worst thing in the world. Because, honestly, if anything, Game Pass is kind of undervalued for the amount of stuff you get. I mean, let's just be realistic here. You might not like to hear that, but I think you can admit, when you have hundreds and hundreds of games at your disposal that you can download at any point in time, many of them being high-quality titles from either yesteryear or modern titles, and when surprise games get added, the fact that you have all of these games at your fingertips and you're paying just a few bucks a month for it, like...
Are you one of the millions surprised by Verizon and AT&T raising your rates last year? T-Mobile has price lock guarantee, and that means they won't raise the rates of your talk to...
I don't know. Oh. It's going to be very interesting to see how the...
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So there's a lot of anticipation online right now for Nintendo to have some sort of big blowout direct for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom to not only go over the game itself, but... What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So there's a lot of anticipation online right now for Nintendo to have some sort of big blowout direct for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Guys, holy shit, how much is Spawn Wave?
Potentially a special edition system. Well, now it looks like we're getting some more information that could point to when the system could even go up for pre-order, which would be pretty important. People obviously trying to get this system. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Microsoft as they did respond to the entire Game Pass diminishing sales situation with a quote of their own. And we'll also be talking about Game Freak, who seems to continue to express interest making games even outside of Pokemon. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe down below. We're going to start today with a game that just released yesterday. I was unsure as to how this game would do when it came out because some of the trailers looked alright, others looked kind of janky. Well, that's Wanted Dead. We can see the Metacritic score that was posted yesterday as reviews started to roll out, and well, based on the system that has the most reviews currently, that is PC, currently sitting at a 59. This game in particular caught some interest because it's from the makers of Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive. Also, the plot and setting sounds kind of ridiculous as it follows a week in the life of the Zombie Unit, an elite Hong Kong police squad on a mission to uncover a major corporate conspiracy. Take a look at the splits here for critics: 2 positive, 20 mixed, 2 negative. And I did actually start playing this yesterday because a code was sent over by the publisher, and spent about an hour or so. I'm going to spend some more time with it, even though from what I've played, the game doesn't appear to be very good, and I've about an hour, and I feel like achievements are popping all over the place. My skill tree is like 25% filled out, so I'm also a bit concerned this game is kind of short, but from what I've seen so far, the combat does not sync up very well with it trying to be this hybrid shooter, slasher with cover. It's all over the place. Again, I'll spend some more time with it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on the podcast this weekend. Also, we do have PlayStation VR 2 launching next week, and depending on, I guess, where you are in the queue or when you ordered it, got your pre-order in, you should be seeing it hopefully on launch day. Otherwise, for me, there's kind of a window of about 5 days. But one title that will be there next week is Resident Evil Village. And if previous Resident Evil VR experiences are anything to go on, this should be very good, especially if you haven't played through Resident Evil Village. This might be the best way to play through it. Well, just in case you were unsure, but you are getting a PSVR 2, there will be a demo that goes live. They showcase this in a trailer that, once again, it looks like it's a very intuitive experience using PlayStation VR 2 with some of the newer features, and I'm sure some pretty good set pieces to make you jump here and there. So that is going to be one of the experiences that I check out right away, alongside of Gran Turismo 7. That is certainly one that I hope to get a bit more out of compared to what I got out of Gran Turismo Sport on that first PlayStation VR. Oh, and if for whatever reason you're still up in the air, you're unsure about God of War Ragnarok, it appears that Sony has started to roll out a trial for you to play the first 3 hours. This is, of course, part of their PlayStation Plus Premium program, which we can see this was posted up over on Twitter from PlayStation Game Size, the PlayStation Plus Premium new trial, God of War Ragnarok for 3-hour demo. It, so far, from what I can see, is rolled out in North America, but it seems that there will be a rollout across just all regions. Again, seems like something Sony will most likely announce at some point today to go along with all of their other drops in PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Plus Premium. But honestly, God of War Ragnarok is an awesome title either way, so I would say it's certainly worth the pickup, especially if you're just getting a PS5 now and you're kind of looking around at games that can sort of showcase what your new console can do. I would say God of War Ragnarok is right up there on the top of the list. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and a system that seems to be one of the worst kept secrets at this time. That's a Nintendo Switch OLED model that will be themed around the biggest release of the year for Nintendo. And this originally came out through just images that were dumped online of not only the box, but also the system inside. And since the last Direct, people have matched up different symbols and all this, and yet it appears to be something that is legitimate and will probably be announced anytime now by Nintendo. And people are trying to figure out the best time to be ready, since, well, we saw what happened with that Zelda Collector's Edition selling out immediately and started getting flipped on eBay for double, even triple the amount. And systems, they can be pretty difficult to get, especially if you don't have them at retail, but it does appear we should see these Switch OLEDs show up with stores like GameStop, as there was a screenshot that started to circulate around yesterday and was sent to me multiple times. I had to kind of track down where it was from, but first, you can see this posted up by Go Nintendo, showcasing a screenshot from GameStop. And this originated from Nintendo Prime, who shared the screenshot in his video. This appears to be a SKU, or stock keeping unit, for a Switch system that has a release in the system of March 10th. Now, there is some speculation on this as if that's the release day or the time that pre-orders would open up. I'm inclined to lean towards pre-orders opening, and while this isn't necessarily confirmed 100% that this is a Zelda Switch OLED, it does appear to be a Switch of some kind, and let's face it, rolling up to the release of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and what we know about this Switch that just seems to be circulating through images out of a factory, it makes sense. You put 2 and 2 together, okay, this seems like it would be a spot that would be reserved for that Switch Zelda OLED model. Now, the other thing to note here is that March 10th is Mario Day, so it would be weird they would release the Zelda OLED then. That's another reason I'm looking at this as potentially being, one, just a placeholder in GameStop's system, so they're just kind of setting up a spot, and this is just a date that will be fluctuating quite a bit over the coming weeks. And I'm thinking we're going to see that Zelda OLED announced. If it's anything like Splatoon 3, which Splatoon 3 was a weird situation. You have to remember, it technically switched places with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but that is like the last major Switch OLED Special Edition system to go on. That released 6 or 7 weeks before. Well, the system itself was announced 6 or 7 weeks before it came out, and then of course that came out weeks before Splatoon 3. So I'm sort of placing the Zelda system to be announced most likely either at the end of March or first half of April, and then it releases towards the end of April. You figure they want to give about 6 weeks from announcement to when it releases. That way all these different retailers can have them in stock along with pre-orders ready to go. And this is something you're going to want to pay attention to, especially if you're trying to get one, because based on the Zelda Collector's Edition, as well as what we've seen from previous Zelda system releases, it's going to go very, very fast. But like I said, the good part is you should be able to go into a GameStop or I guess go on Amazon or Walmart or your typical places to buy rather than have to go through Nintendo's website, which has not gone well at all for really any of these special edition systems or really games that release. They always seem to sell out. So the system itself, keep an eye out. I will also keep you guys posted here so that when it does get announced and we have a pre-order opening date, you guys can at least be there to give you a good shot at getting a hold of one of these before they show up on eBay for 2, 3, even 4 times the amount. Next up, let's talk about a game that is out tomorrow, but the review embargo did lift yesterday. And this is for a game that I've been looking at from time to time, but I'm not the biggest rhythm game fan necessarily, especially when you're just using the controller to complete the actions. But I'm gonna say, I tried the demo on this one and it surprised me a bit. But we can see this over on Metacritic. This is for Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. It's a massive celebration for 35 years of Final Fantasy, currently sitting at an 87 on Metacritic. That's on the Switch. I believe on the PlayStation 4 it's a little higher, but it has less reviews. Currently, I like to go with whatever system has the most reviews. Either way, an 87 is really good for this kind of a game. Again, sort of a rhythm RPG, and you can play a demo of it right now on the different storefronts. It's just available to download, and I did that just to try it real quick on the PlayStation, and it was kind of cool. It's interesting. It is at its core sort of a rhythm game where you just use the different buttons on your controller to match up to things happening on the screen, along with directions with the joystick as these different things are flying by. Goes along with the beat, and as all this is happening, at the bottom of the screen you have a battle that's playing out, and when you get to the end of the song, you get experience, your characters level up, and you go through and you unlock different games in Final Fantasy, and then from there they have quests and storylines, and it's a very deep game, even though at its core, yes, you are just technically playing DDR on your controller. But if you're a fan of Final Fantasy at all, or you really, really like the music, this is an easy recommendation. There's a lot to this game, nearly 400 tracks, and there's also talk around downloadable content going forward where they could have different packs of music getting dropped in from all different parts of Final Fantasy. Like I said, a really big celebration, and seems like there's a lot going on in this game. So at the very least, I recommend trying out the demo that has 30 tracks for you to just see what you think, and if you like it, you can buy it and your save data will transfer over. So really cool stuff here from Theater Rhythm. I might have a chance to go back to it. It's just a lot of stuff going on right now, a lot of games that I'm playing, but I think this is going to be one I'll want to go back to my backlog for sooner rather than later. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft and their response to the situation around Game Pass, as we had that report come out from the CMA, and they had a lot of documents provided to them by Microsoft, and part of that was around Game Pass actually lowering sales, or as they said, cannibalizing sales after 12 months of being in the service. And while it makes sense that a game would sell less after 12 months,